Step quietly into a world of flickering light and wind-swept plains, as quality silent films welcomes you to an earlier age of cinema, an age where stories unfolded without voices, yet spoke with striking clarity through motion, expression, and daring. In 1915, director and star Tom Mix was already emerging as one of the screen's first great Western heroes, blending real frontier experience with bold physical performance. Alongside him, Goldie Colwell brought a steady presence to early cinema, helping shape the emotional core of these fast-moving frontier tales. The year this film arrived was anything but quiet. The sinking of the RMS Lusitania sent shockwaves across the globe, stirring outrage and pushing the world closer to full-scale conflict. At the same time, World War I was intensifying across Europe, reshaping nations and redefining modern warfare in real time. And in American theaters, The Birth of a Nation drew massive crowds while igniting fierce debate, proving that film itself had become a powerful cultural force. It was into this atmosphere of upheaval and transformation that The Man from Texas rode onto the screen, simpler in scale, perhaps, but no less compelling in spirit. At its core, this film explores the tension between right and wrong in a place where laws are distant and justice often depends on the courage of individuals. A lone figure stands at the center, facing choices that test not only strength, but character. The struggle is not simply against external threats, but against uncertainty, against the question of what one is willing to risk to uphold a sense of honor. For modern audiences, these ideas still feel immediate. The notion of standing firm in the face of pressure, of choosing integrity when it would be easier to turn away, continues to carry weight in today's world. The film's emphasis on independence can feel inspiring, yet it also invites reflection on isolation, the cost of facing challenges alone without support or community. There is also an emotional thread woven through the story, one that centers on loyalty and human connection. Trust must be earned, and once broken, it carries consequences. These elements give the film a deeper texture, reminding us that even in tales of action and adventure, it is relationships that often carry the greatest stakes. Visually, the film captures a rugged landscape that feels both expansive and unforgiving, a setting where every movement matters. Tom Mix's physical performance brings a sense of immediacy to the screen, his writing, his timing, his presence. All contributing to a style that feels alive even now, long after its creation. As you watch, consider not only the story itself, but the moment in history from which it emerged, a time when cinema was still discovering its language, and when performers like Mix were helping define what it could become. When the film concludes, stay with us for a closer look at the people behind it, the ideas it reflects, and the era that shaped it. Now, let the images begin to drift across the screen, and allow this early Western to carry you into a world where resolve is tested, loyalties are challenged, and the frontier stretches as far as courage can reach. When the final image of The Man from Texas fades, it does not feel like an ending so much as a lingering breath held over open land. Dust seems to drift just beyond the frame, as if the world of the film refuses to fully disappear. What remains is a quiet impression of movement, of choices made in isolation, and of a frontier where justice is never simple, only necessary. Tom Mix stands at the center of that vision not only as its star but as one of the defining forces of early Western cinema. Born in Pennsylvania in 1880, he came from a background far removed from Hollywood, yet his early life gave him an unusually authentic foundation for screen work. Before films, Mix worked as a cowboy, ranch hand, and rodeo performer, and these experiences shaped everything he later brought to the screen. When he entered motion pictures in the 1910s, he quickly became associated with early studios like Shiek, where westerns were filmed outdoors at speed and built around physical action rather than dialogue or elaborate staging. Mix distinguished himself immediately by performing his own stunts, horseback riding, falls, and fast-paced action sequences that gave his films a level of realism few contemporaries could match. In The Man from Texas, 1915, he was not just a performer but a driving creative presence, helping define the rhythm and energy of early cinematic Western storytelling. His career helped establish the cowboy hero as a central figure in American film culture, blending athletic spectacle with a sense of moral clarity that audiences embraced. Over time, his fame extended beyond film into live appearances and touring shows, where he demonstrated riding and stunt work directly to audiences, helping shape early celebrity culture in cinema. Goldie Colwell appears in the supporting framework of this production era as a familiar face in early Western storytelling. She worked steadily in silent films during a period when expressive performance and adaptability were essential, helping support the emotional structure around larger action-driven leads. Louella Maxam was part of a rare group of women who performed physical stunt work in early westerns. Her career reflects the demanding and often dangerous nature of silent-era production, where performers frequently handled their own riding and action sequences with minimal safety oversight. Ed Brady built a long career in supporting and character roles across both silent and early sound films. Known for rugged or antagonistic parts, he remained active through major industry transitions, which many of his contemporaries could not survive. Production of The Man from Texas reflects the fast, improvisational nature of 1915 filmmaking. Scenes were shot outdoors using natural light, with crews working quickly to capture action sequences in real terrain rather than constructed sets. Horseback stunts and action sequences were performed under real physical risk, as safety standards were minimal compared to modern filmmaking. Props and costumes were often reused across productions, and filming schedules were compressed to meet constant demand from theaters, which relied on a steady stream of short films. The film emerged during a turbulent historical moment shaped by World War I, which was already transforming global politics and daily life. In the United States, cinema was rapidly becoming a dominant form of mass entertainment, and westerns like this one offered audiences a simplified moral world, clear struggles between right and wrong during a time of growing uncertainty. These themes of independence, justice, and personal responsibility still feel relevant today, particularly in how modern stories explore individual choices under pressure. Reception for films of this type was generally strong among audiences, especially in smaller theaters and traveling exhibitions where action-heavy westerns drew consistent crowds. Tom Mix's films were especially popular, helping establish him as one of the most recognizable screen figures of the silent era, even if detailed critical reviews were less common at the time. Over the years, however, many early westerns were overshadowed by later feature-length productions, and scholarship on them remained limited until film historians revisited the silent period. Like many films from 1915, The Man from Texas is believed to be partially lost, a result of fragile nitrate film stock and inconsistent preservation practices. Despite this, its importance remains tied to its influence on the Western genre and early action filmmaking, rather than physical survival. A number of production realities define films of this era. Shooting schedules were extremely fast, horses often appeared across multiple productions. Stunt work was largely unregulated and highly dangerous. Outdoor locations were reused frequently, actors moved from one project to the next without breaks, wardrobe and props were recycled, and promotional materials often exaggerated on-screen action to attract audiences. Ultimately, The Man from Texas represents a formative stage in cinema, when storytelling was still discovering how movement, landscape, and performance could combine into something uniquely cinematic. It captures a moment when film language itself was being built in real time. And today, its legacy survives through influence rather than preservation. The image of the lone Western hero, the structure of action-driven storytelling, and the blending of physical performance with character identity all trace back to this era and to figures like Tom Mix, who helped define what audiences would come to expect from the genre for decades. Thank you for joining Quality Silent Films. We hope you enjoyed this journey into early cinema and the world behind The Man from Texas. We look forward to welcoming you back as we continue exploring silent-era classics with historical context, cast insight, and cinematic history that brings these early films back into focus.